Confab, confabulation. 音の科学者グアム。
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am very well tonight. I am very happy to have you as my guest on my show today. I was very much looking forward to this discussion. I'm very much interested in your line of work. Would you like to say a little bit about what it is that you do and where you're coming from right now, where you're tuning in from?
Thank you. So I am speaking to you from Bali. I've been a practicing osteopath. I qualified in 2005, so I've been practicing clinically since then. And I work with a very, how to put this? I work with very deep sensitivities. So,
in terms of,
yeah, I mean, when you, so all healing work, all work with supporting a person to heal, to move towards their wholeness, is obviously very multidimensional, and within the field of the body, it's possible to feel where the non-physical is in a great constriction, which then dominoes out into the physical and the psychic and the psyche. And using breath and essentially holding with unconditional acceptance these balls of resisted pain that are in everybody, really.
So in your...
Can facilitate just a very safe, soft reopening, and so physical issues and all the layers of issues are released by the person simply surrendering them, rather than someone coming in and trying to tear them out or trying to fix. All those approaches don't really work, because it's essentially coming from the ego, the desire to change something. But if you adhere to the principles of interfacing directly with the health, rather than trying to forcibly untangle what's there, then it's much more in alignment with a deeper way of approaching healing.
Okay.
Resolving. Yeah. I mean, it might help if I, from my perspective, not just my perspective, just to explain trauma from my way to explain it. Any event that we have, that everything that we experience, it generates a sensation inside the body, And something that generates a nice sensation tends to make us move towards it. And when it's an unpleasant sensation, most people freak out. And we're basically led by this internal sensations without realizing it generally. And when the definition of trauma is where a sensation came up that we couldn't allow to be fully felt and embraced and accepted. So it's been suppressed back into the body field. And it takes a lot of energy and a lot of tension to maintain that. So then that dominoes out into the whole system, of course. And that's...
Can that cause anxiety attacks? Can that be a cause of it?
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I could invite people to come back over and over and over again without giving them the key. But really, to empower people is key for anything like this.
So,
there's
one of the things that I really love yoga is because yoga has really taught me how to breathe, and not only strengthen, but how to breathe. And do you do yoga?
Sorry?
Do you practice yoga?
Yeah. I have a lot to say about yoga, which will make me quite unpopular. Most of the yoga that people are doing is quite traumatic on the body.
Really?
Right? And I say this with total love, because I've treated hundreds of yogis who are really putting their hearts into and their spirits into the work that they're doing. And so it's not with any disrespect in this.
What yoga are you?
So the yoga that I was really inspired by came from a woman called Vanda Scaravelli. And it's called Scaravelli Inspired because when they tried to name her approach after her, she wouldn't let them. So it's really known as Hatha Yoga, inspired by the teachings of Vanda Scaravelli, or Scaravelli Inspired. And you see, there's something, and this goes between yoga and bodywork, which for me, I was very informed from my osteopathic study and obviously many years of practice.
Yeah,
and the thing in bodywork that most people do is, like if they're massaging, there's a lot of dough kneading that goes on, and that's fine, that's okay. Sometimes it's really appropriate, but just mindless kneading of the muscle doesn't always get where you're trying to access. And there are techniques which are simply to go to. This is how I learned it. And we call it functional inhibition in osteopathy, where I studied. And one would take a muscle to its barrier. So that's so you're making a cross fiber stretch, and you slowly go deeper into the muscle until the muscle just starts to resist a little bit, and then you just hang out there and relax. And after 30 seconds or a minute, depending on who you're working with, there'll be a release. And so the barrier moves, and you follow it until you find that barrier again. But if you, and you can keep repeating that, and you can go very deep into healing processes, very simply, it's very special. And But if you just push a muscle beyond that barrier, it goes tight because it's protecting itself. And the same thing is going on with yoga. What most people are doing is they are pushing until everything's tight. And, you know, Patanjali wrote in the sutras, he said, when you do asana, no tension. Comfortable asana, no tension. Yeah. And I ask everyone that I treat who's a yogi, like, so when you do asana, do you have any tension in your body? And they all go like this. And actually, what's happening? Like, if you, so what you're looking for when you're doing an asana, I mean, we can talk about this in many dimensions, okay? But what most people are looking for is they want to release a tension that's built up in the body. Yeah, let's say, all these layers. When you go into an asana and you pull it tight, it's tight because it's protecting itself now. And so you're not going to tease your way gently into the place where the tension is being held and release it. Yeah. And I mean, you know, obviously it's better than doing nothing. But there are more refined approaches. Yeah. And if you understand where that boundary is, like in the massage technique, and you can go there to where the muscle is still soft, and you're in a conversation with the muscle where you're speaking and where you're listening, but mostly you're listening, instead of going to these extremes where now you're screaming at the muscle, but there's no listening happening, you know, so there's no space for dialogue or for real healing to actually happen. And the changes that a lot of, because I remember one of the first yoga teachers that I ever treated, not the first, but one of the first, he came to me and he said, look, I've been teaching vinyasa and yin for more than 10 years. Look at me, I'm fit, I'm strong, I'm well. It really comes down to what is your chosen relationship with what you have inside, you know, the pains and the struggles. What's your relationship with that as it comes up? You know, there's the feeling, or there's the. So I want to learn how to engage this and listen to it and breathe light through it. Yeah, if you learn how to make an asana properly, then you're engaging the whole system into one cohesive connection, and there's no tension, and then you breathe light through the system. Yeah? So there's an inhale, then you're taking the energy to around a circuit, or you're taking it to a focal point where there's tension, yeah? And then breathing it out. And so you can learn how to really start to work much more multidimensionally and in a more informed way. And it's quite a simple practice, but it's a very nice way to approach yoga on on a little closer to its origins.
Have you had that experience where some of your patients have gone into a deep emotional state during their?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's very common that people have good releases. Yeah. Yes. And when that emotion is, you know, when that energy is allowed and that emotion is felt, then there can be a very deep surrender, a very deep letting go. And in that space, it's extraordinary how many disease processes will reverse in the whole system.
Now, biochemically,